Welcome to Draw Process. I'm Ike, drawing pages of my comic books and processing here over the time-lapse video of the page in a kind of weekly vlog series. And this is 3 years running, and we're on number 3 of For Sun and Sword, page number 2 today. So here's the page. I'll just show you that right from the start. That's the page that I will have drawn in this time-lapse. And here we go. Sometimes I forget to record, so you may have noticed last time a little bit of the ink wash process was missing. Hopefully it's here this time. A little bit of the pencils was missing this time. It'll be okay. You'll still be able to gather things from it. So this is a left-hand page. So when the book opens, it would be on the left. And it's the second page. So the first page was a large establishing shot, followed by a second panel that's a large kind of collage montage of them walking through the woods. So that just establishes the scene and a little bit of the feel of the book. Now the time has started in a sense. And so I'm thinking I show a stream. They now have approached a stream. We just saw them walking on the rocks. There's a stream here. And I established the characters. I've got Sword saying they're gonna stop and rest. I've got him resting his foot because it was injured in the last book. And so he's recovering still. And so I established them here in this new setting. I show a nice full view of Sun to establish his character. In case people haven't read the prior comics, we want to go ahead and establish our characters and everything. And so a full image of Sun, and then I've got Farah's response and Sword's response, and then back to Sun. Trying to be economical with the size of the panels, the number of panels I can fit. I only need a small square to show that there's a stream. And then this nice wide panel, long panel here, with Sword and the other two in the background when he says, let's rest. So then I've got an establishing shot of them resting. What's going to happen here is Sun says, that he kind of complains about the situation of walking through the woods randomly. Not a good road, not good places to rest. Farah explains why they're doing that, to evade Lord Czar. So I'm sneaking in some story plot information. So I establish the characters, the setting, and then kind of what's going on in this way. So after she tells him that, he looks to Sword, and Sword, we just see he's not even responding. Maybe his face has a grimace. He's in some pain from his foot, perhaps, or he's tired. And then Sun moves away from the two of them and towards looking at the woods. Now, he was just warned, Lord Czar's spies are after us. So maybe he's feeling a little paranoid and looking around. And so that's where we get to at the end of this page. On the next page, he's going to hear a cry for help. They'll all hear it, and off we go to the next scene. And so I'm shooting for 45, 47 pages maximum for an issue, and that relates to I can do 2 a year. If I do that, I can probably keep up a pace of 2 a year, which I would prefer to not take too long in between books. It's long enough that I can tell a full story, but it has to be obviously a smaller story, but still full enough. I feel like a 22-page book is not enough for me. What else am I saying? Even at 45 pages, I need to be really efficient at times with the use of the pages. So this scene where they're hanging out in the woods and have this little conversation, this could have been drawn out over 3 pages, 2 pages. I'm squeezing it into 1 page. I'm establishing, all of the characters, the important plot points, a little bit of like the mood, the emotion of each character, their motivation at this moment. I get it all established and done in 1 tight little page. I still have an establishing shot, right? Okay. So that's what I am thinking when I'm constructing this page, and that's what I did. Now, pointing to something I consider regarding the flow of the page, the way the eye moves, the composition. Notice that from sword, on the second panel, you've got sword is quite large, and he's on the far left. So my readers are going left to right typically, and up to down on the page. So he's large, he's right there on the left, and then coming down from him, you've got Farah and then Sun, and they go diagonally down across that panel. I've got the woods in the background are just providing they're basically negative space, and they're the positive space. It's just texture. So notice that I'm not utilizing much of the far right of that panel. I'm only using the first 2/3 of it. The rest is empty space. It's important space, It shows where that they're in a space. It's not a bad idea to show that, but when it comes to composition and like how you want the eye to move, don't think you have to use every square, pixel of your panel. You don't have to fill it all up. You can gather the information to one side, to the center, to the right, to bottom, top, whatever you need to do to make it flow well. And you'll notice that in that third panel, the establishing shot, the line of the ground plane on that hill, it goes diagonally down across Sun, down to sword. So as the eye has been up and to the right, now it can quite easily glide down. And now that line on that hill, it separates the ground from the sky, ground from the background. I've got tree textures on the top half of that line, and then below that, a different kind of feel of the textures of the rocks in the ground. I've got at least 2 of the figures are breaking that line. So this is that line guides the eye, and it becomes another shape to the composition. If you could imagine breaking this down into just white and black, just using shapes, maybe do that with your mind. Look at where the figures are, or where there's a ground plane, background plane, and separate it in those ways and see how does that help a sense of movement, or like the eye being guided if the eye were just tracking these shapes. Now I'm not completely sold on that theory that the eye is just following the shapes. I think we also follow the panels. So for me, I kind of look at a panel as a whole, and then I look at the next, and then I look at the next. So I kind of take it in as a one image. But my eye still moves through the panel. So then we come down to this tall panel, panel 4. I let Sun's feet break out of the panel. This was mainly because, it's cool. It establishes him better. I didn't want to cut his feet off. It didn't feel right. I first penciled it that way, but I realized I should show his feet. But I wanted him really kind of popping off the page. I wanted him larger on the page. So the shape of this panel and everything, it's to let him fill the space and get a nice large image of him. And I didn't want to show just his face talking here. I didn't want a talking head. I'm establishing him as a character, so I wanted his whole figure. Now, I didn't do the same with the other two characters, but this has to do with priorities, like hierarchy, prominence. Everything can't be of equal prominence. So he's treated differently than they are, and he's the one talking. He's the one we're connecting with emotionally. We're seeing how he reacts to things in this scene. Notice Farah, the woman here, splashing water on her face. The positive space she takes up in that panel, and how then when you go down to that panel below her, you have Sword's face, and it's using up a smaller portion of it. So she's filling half of that panel, and then he fills a third of it, and then it's gone. So there's a sense of the shrinking away of that positive space. And while that space shrinks away, sun fills the space of the panels. The panels are all the same width. The positive space of Farah and Sword shrinks away, while sun fills the space. And so in the second panel, you see sun. He's on the third on the right, and then he moves towards the middle or to the left third in the last panel. Now he is the only subject. We move from who he's talking to and who he's interacting with there, taking more prominence, to just him and the forest. The forest eats up the other kind of focal point there. So now the forest is what is prominent, what's focused on. And that's what he's focused on, because he's paranoid about what's out there. Yeah, so you can see how that ink wash pen is used. And then I take it in digitally. I letter it. This is the first page with letters. So I letter it digitally. I use a Blambot font that I paid for. Yeah, but they have some free options too if you follow the copyright rules there. And I do it in Clip Studio Paint, and I just take the raw scan, maybe a little bit of touching up digitally, but very little, and I set it to multiply. I put a couple layers of it to find just the right darkness level I want. I'm focused on print rather than how it looks in digital. I'm concerned about how it prints, and it's super simple. That's it. It's just 2 layers, one set to maybe 30%, other 100%, a few touch-ups, and throw in the letters. The lettering, though, I didn't use black, solid black for the lettering, because it's more of an ink-washed look. The pages are not solid black ink with the other lines. And so if the lettering was solid black, but the word balloon and other things are not solid black, then it mismatches. It doesn't feel like it's cohesive with the book. Those little details are nice to catch. It shows that you're paying attention to what you're doing. You care about what you're doing. It's not necessary, but it, that's one thing you're looking at, is when people read your book, do they feel like someone put their focus on it, their attention, their care and love into it? And I'm trying to do that, of course, quickly. I don't. I want full attention, full focus, full love on it, but with a speed, a loose or expressive style that suits my capacities, my skills, and is fun for me. So, yeah, so that's why I did the lettering that way. And there's the cover too, the cover for the book. It's available now in the store if you want to get it. And I think that covers it for this week. These videos we'll see how long they get. They're based on however long the footage is, because it's set to maybe 10 times speed when I record it. So however long it ends up being, that's how long these videos will be. But thanks for joining me again. I'll see you on page number 3 next week.